It's midnight and you're tuning into Nightline with me, Muhammed, Ahmad, Hamdan, and here are the top stories. Malaysia Kosovo to further explore cooperation across various strategic sectors. And no medicine price display summonses during 3-month grace period. Good morning. Bilateral relations between Malaysia and Kosovo were further strengthened with the official opening of the Republic's embassy in Kuala Lumpur on Friday. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said both countries are poised to deepen cooperation across a wide range of strategic sectors. Earlier, Kosovo's President, Vjosa Osmani Sadriu, was accorded an official welcome at the Perdana Putra complex as she commenced a 4-day official visit to Malaysia. Anwar greeted her upon her arrival at the complex at 9 a.m. After the national anthems of both countries were played, Osmani inspected the Guard of Honour mounted by the 1st Battalion of the Royal Malay Regiment. Following the welcoming ceremony, Anwar and Osmani proceeded to a bilateral meeting to discuss various matters of mutual interest. In a joint press conference later, Anwar described the establishment of the embassy as a significant milestone in bilateral relations which will facilitate trade, investment, education, culture and tourism between the two countries.
But more critically, the collaboration between trade investment so that we can utilize the strength of Kosovo and their strong relations with the EU.
Anwar also assured Osmani that formal bilateral discussions will be expedited to ensure the continuity of programs, projects and to further strengthen trade and economic relations. This marks Osmani's first visit to Malaysia since assuming office on April 4, 2021. Total bilateral trade between Malaysia and Kosovo last year amounted to over 28 million ringgit. Meanwhile, Osmani said Malaysia's contributions in assisting Kosovo during its most challenging times will not be forgotten. She noted that Malaysia was among the earliest countries to recognize Kosovo's independence in 2008.
It carried hope, it carried solidarity, and it carried a belief in our future and in our people. And for that, our gratitude will never fade.
She said it was a great honor for her to undertake an official visit to Malaysia, which she described as a key milestone in the friendship between the two countries. Kosovo and Malaysia have also agreed on the importance of expanding trade and encouraging greater investment in key sectors. Diplomatic relations between the two nations were formally established in 2011. At the same press conference, Osmani presented the Order of Independence, Kosovo's highest civilian honour, to the Prime Minister. This prestigious award is given to individuals who have made significant contributions in supporting Kosovo's independence. The order also recognizes Malaysia's unwavering support for Kosovo's statehood and post-independence development, as well as Anwar's steadfast commitment to strengthening bilateral ties between the two nations. Osmani will also posthumously confer the Order of Independence upon the late former Prime Minister Tun Abdullah Ahmad Badawi. This is in recognition of his leadership during a critical period in Kosovo's history. In another development, Anwar called for stronger regional cooperation to support humanitarian efforts in quake-hit Myanmar. The Prime Minister also underscored the need for an extended ceasefire to ensure the safety of aid workers. In a posting on his Facebook account, Anwar said a ceasefire in Myanmar was essential to ensure the effective distribution of humanitarian aid to the affected population. He highlighted this during a phone call with Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. on Friday. Both leaders agreed that any form of aid to those affected by the devastating earthquake which struck Myanmar in late March should be disseminated without discrimination or restrictions. In a separate matter, Anwar pointed out Malaysia's potential to leverage its position as ASEAN chair to engage in global tariff discussions, particularly with the United States. He said the US decision to suspend the implementation of tariffs for 90 days provides relief for further discussion on certain matters, given Malaysia's strength in several types of products. Anwar also wished the Philippine president well for the general election on May 12th and expressed hope that they would meet at the upcoming ASEAN summit. No summonses will be issued during the first 3 months of the implementation of the Price Control and Anti-Profiteering Price Labelling for Medicines Order 2025. The Health Ministry, MOH, gave this assurance following the enforcement of the order, which, among others, requires private pharmacies and clinics to display the prices of medicines. The mandatory price labelling initiative, which officially began on Thursday, applies to all medicines for human use, including prescription and non-prescription drugs, over-the-counter medicines, traditional remedies, health supplements, and extemporaneous preparations. Health Deputy Director General for Pharmaceutical Services, Dr. Azwana Ramli, said the ministry's focus during the 3-month grace period is on education and advocacy.
Pencapaian ataupun kebolehlaksanaan perintah inilah oleh pihak pelaksana, dan nanti kita akan lihat semula sama ada keperluan untuk penambahan tempoh atau terus kepada pelaksanaan secara total.
Dr. Azwana said this during a media briefing on the directive with Domestic Trade and Cost of Living Ministry Enforcement Director General Dr. Azman Adam in Putrajaya on Friday. She added that based on discussions with relevant stakeholders, the majority expressed support for the regulation as a means to ensure greater transparency. She also clarified that no notices or fines were issued on the first day of the order's implementation. In other news, the Subang Hospital in Pulau Pinang will become a cardiology and pediatric cardiothoracic care referral centre for the Northern Zone. Health Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Zulkifli Ahmad said the move will reduce the need for referrals to the Pulau Pinang Hospital and speed up access to specialist treatment for the local community.
Ini adalah sekaligus yang akan dapat mengurangkan decongest hospital. Jadi zon utara, this is going to be rujukan utama zon utara ini.
Dr. Zulkifli said this to reporters at the project handing over ceremony by the Works Ministry to his ministry on Friday. He added that the new 10-storey facility will begin operations in stages from May 5th. The additional block at the hospital will also increase its total capacity to 729 beds and 11 operating theatres. Petroleum National Berhad Petronas has confirmed receipt of an official notice from the Sarawak government concerning gas processing and distribution activities in the state. The national oil company also stressed that its subsidiary, Petronas Carigali Sundia Berhad, complies fully with all legal requirements in carrying out its operations in Miri. In a statement, Petronas affirmed that its upstream subsidiary is legally authorized under the Petroleum Development Act PDA 1974 to carry out the company's activities. The company also emphasized its responsibility to uphold the provisions of the Act and to safeguard national interests. The statement was issued in response to a notice served on Petronas Carigali by Sarawak's Utility and Telecommunication Ministry on April 30th. In the notice, Petronas Carigali was accused of operating its Miri crude oil terminal without a state license, thereby breaching Section 7E of the Distribution of Gas Ordinance 2016. The company was given 21 days to rectify the matter, failing which it could face financial penalties under Section 21A of the Ordinance. Petronas said it remains committed to constructive engagement and will continue working closely with both the federal and Sarawak state governments to explore future arrangements that ensure regulatory clarity and operational continuity. Malaysia's gross domestic product GDP is expected to grow by 4.4% in the first quarter of 2025. In a statement on Friday, Malaysian Rating Corporation Berhad (MARC) said growth continues to be supported by resilient domestic demand, as well as sustained momentum in the services and construction sectors. Despite global uncertainties, exports rose by 6.8% in March, buoyed by higher shipments of electrical appliances and electronics, palm oil and machinery. The ringgit also rebounded in April after an initial dip following United States President Donald Trump's tariff announcement, aided by a 90-day tariff pause and broader weakness in the US dollar. The government, through the National Water Services Commission, SPAN, has reduced the contribution rate for public sewer connections imposed on developers. The move, which took effect on March 1st, aims to ease the financial burden on first-time home buyers. In a statement on Friday, SPAN said the contribution rate for houses priced at 80,000 ringgit or below is 1,000 ringgit per project. For houses priced between 80,000 ringgit and 150,000 ringgit, the contribution rate is 0.25% of the selling price, while the rate for government projects has been set at 900 ringgit per population equivalent. Previously, the contribution rate was set at a flat 1% of the property's selling price. According to SPAN, the initiative is expected to encourage the construction of more affordable housing. China on Friday said it is considering proposals by the United States to begin negotiations on US President Donald Trump's sweeping tariffs. Its Commerce Ministry said the US has recently conveyed, through appropriate channels, a strong interest in holding talks and that China is currently assessing the proposal. It also said the US should be prepared to take action in correcting erroneous practices and cancel unilateral tariffs, adding that Washington needed to show sincerity in negotiations. Trump has been repeatedly saying since last week that his administration was in talks with Chinese officials to strike a trade deal, only to be met with flat denials from Beijing each time. Police seize over 1 million ringgit worth of Ganja. This and more when we come back. Thanks for staying with us. In Kuala Lumpur, 3 people were killed after the car they were travelling in skidded and slammed into a highway exit divider along the Kuala Lumpur-Seremban Expressway on Friday. In the 5:57 a.m. incident, all 3 victims were pronounced dead at the scene by medical personnel. Kuala Lumpur Fire and Rescue Department Operations Commander Shahrumdin said 10 firefighters from the Sungai Besi and Bukit Jalil fire stations were deployed to the site after they were alerted to the crash. Upon arrival, rescuers discovered that 3 men were trapped in the wreckage and had to use a heavy-duty metal cutter to slice through the mangled car to extricate the victims. Police investigations revealed that the car was driven by a 32-year-old local man, accompanied by 2 male passengers aged 29 and 30. The driver is believed to have lost control of the vehicle while taking a left exit and crashed into the concrete road divider. The victim's remains were sent to the hospital Chancellor Tuanku Mukhris for post-mortem. An 11-year-old boy sustained injuries after he was stabbed by his father with a vegetable knife in Pasir Mas, Kelantan earlier on Friday. The suspect, believed to be in his 40s, is reportedly facing marital problems and has been receiving psychiatric treatment since 2008. Pasir Mas Police Chief Assistant Commissioner Kama Azural Muhammad said the incident occurred around 8 a.m. in Kampong Banggul, Chetdol. Initial investigations revealed that the suspect, believed to be suffering from depression, stabbed his son twice in the chest and abdomen. The boy was initially rushed to Pasir Mas Hospital for treatment, but was later transferred to Raja Perempuan Zainab II Hospital in Kota Baru, where he is now in stable condition. According to authorities, the suspect is currently going through his third divorce and has a court hearing scheduled at the Tumpat Sharia Court on May 13th. He was arrested shortly after the incident, and a remand application will be made at the Kota Baru Magistrates Court. The case is being investigated under the Penal Code for attempted murder. Police have seized more than 400 slabs of compressed ganja worth approximately 1.2 million ringgit in Simpang Empat Perlis, believed to have been smuggled in from a neighbouring country via the state's waters. The drugs were concealed inside an unregistered fishing boat abandoned at the Kuala Sungai Baru estuary last Tuesday. Perlis Police Chief Datuk Muhammad Abdul Halim said a team was deployed to the location at 2 p.m. after receiving a report from a local fisherman. The boat is believed to have been abandoned about 24 hours before it was discovered. Upon inspecting the vessel, police discovered 24 boxes containing substances suspected to be ganja. The boat was subsequently towed to the Kuala Perlis police station. Authorities believe that the state is being used as a transit point before the drugs are transported by land for distribution to the southern region of the country or the Klang Valley. No arrests have been made so far, and the case is being investigated under the Dangerous Drugs Act. Australia's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese campaigned on Friday in his Conservative opponent Peter Dutton's constituency before Saturday's election, with polls favouring the incumbent in a campaign overshadowed by US President Donald Trump's volatile diplomacy. As part of his final appeal to voters, Albanese emphasised Labor's plan to build Australia's future, while criticising the coalition for offering what he described as cuts and instability. According to the Australian Electoral Commission, almost 7 million out of an eligible 18 million voters had already cast a ballot by Friday at early voting centres or by postal voting. All published opinion polls show Albanese's centre-left Labour ahead of the Conservative Liberal National Coalition on a two-party preferred basis, although the polls also show that Labour could find itself leading a minority government. South Korea has sworn in its third acting president in less than 6 months, as his predecessor Han Duck-soo declared his candidacy in a snap election to replace impeached ex-leader Yoon Suk-yeol. Education Minister Lee Joo-ho was appointed acting president on Friday, just 1 day after Prime Minister Han stepped down to run in the election. The appointment of a new acting president came as Han's candidacy injected more uncertainty into an election race that has been upended by doubts over the eligibility of the left-leaning frontrunner Lee Jae-myung of the Democratic Party. Earlier, Finance Minister Choi Sang-mok was due to assume the role of acting president by law. However, he abruptly resigned after lawmakers resumed impeachment proceedings against him over decisions he made during his previous stint as acting president. A ship carrying aid to Gaza in a bid to break Israel's blockade has been hit by drones in international waters off Malta. The Freedom Flotilla Coalition, FFC, the group that organized the mission, said on Friday that the vessel was the target of 2 drone strikes while on its way to Gaza. It said armed drones struck the front of the unarmed civilian vessel twice, causing a fire and a substantial breach in the hull. The statement did not directly accuse Israel of carrying out the attack, but called for its ambassadors to be summoned over international law violations, including the blockade and bombing of a civilian vessel in international waters. So far, Israel has not commented on the drone strikes. And that wraps up this edition of Nightline. We leave you with visuals of a Swiss-Italian team unveiling an edible robotic wedding cake featuring dancing gummy teddy bears, blending the team's robotic skills and culinary expertise. With that, I'm Muhammed. I'm Hamdan. Thanks for watching and stay safe.